Jaja Kala Yogotini, Topo Chudo Gendi, Taman Zamani, Taman Tashi de Longa, Tashi de Three Day Patam de Tuji, Taman Tashi de Go to J. Tamsin was the Mabos and the Jigla Changza Law, Tapando, Chakra, giving and Holy. Get the Tonam Chocha by the Chira Sanan, Lapada of the Vision, Tamayoni. Genula on Johnson Law, Mabamila Jujaga Mama Tobajan, Loman, Omichi, your Porone, to San Diego, your own. I sent Chogan to Deva, so some Danga Jujin Chin, just taught me more, yellow so. Something on the Dutch in out about children. Those are those or this Dutch room number. This is the Garchen Rinpoche, Pia, which has on the direction, the Canadian your guardian to die, the Sir Lu Nang Simpson. The daily Luton send a long desert reaction, don't a Lu Tagan to the Latin long time, same Yamdati Rostava. There's so much in the triangle, this is a come down and over it. This is the Zah come power Americans, not happy, Zaddy Caromorage, none come down sensibly, power rate. Then you song the Jonah, that's only she, that younger Jonah, so come there, younger. Don't may give out a custody, that's any, send the dancing the dumb sooner. Then it's that Chung Chung Taji, Law Jurgul, Tincheda, it's Ya, Mountain Dog. The Law Jurgul, particularly, that Chung Chung Taji, come to me, don't go Romakaman and it's 중화를 되는 자는 롱문도 차문도 이 자창의 용지공 들이 조금만 냠도 그래 대변에 되니 들상하고 자롱송 진짜 세요하는데 그래서 다시 설르낭아 사생성 되니 담비 출력도 야나 실주거지 낭롱 사주거지 되는 류마 이 성분은 상하디 서소탈 류 낭상신 아 라자고요. 상하지 상하지 생각도 상하는데 그 상하지 뒤 도도 못해 상세고 내는 맛이 또 못해는 상하지 근데 무슨 성무성은 내로 같이 도지 창 배대 도지 창 소리 도지 창 이해는 요만 생분하시 내록세를 용지 제보요배 죽거랑 지인 비대로 도진 창성 너희 뒤에 시작 또 못하게 도진 창랑 배야지 랑랑 배야지 그래서 고인을 계속하지 받칠 때라고 인사리 뒤뒤 좋아지는 데 기능 못을 전에 막히는 못은 되어서 다 시험하지 다 도진 창 배되는 내 도진 창 소리랑 세부 도진 창이 도진 창 요 말이 세부대로 맞어 빠져 도지자라고 배자원을 차도 그래서 제가 그 거리 인기는 붙을 뜨고 그래.
So in the beginning, Rinpoche said, and to all the Dharma friends, the Sangha, following us on the live stream all over the world, and also everyone who came here today. And thank you for being here in Tashitele, in long life. And so then next time, my friends, our yoga retreat is going really well. It's turned out really well. And so I'm also grateful for that. And so to speak about the meaning of yoga, connection to the Buddhist system. So we say that the outer, the external is the body, the internal, the speech, and the secret is the mind. And the body, the mind, and the wind energies, the three of them are connected. And we use mainly the body when we perform various yogic exercises. But as we perform these exercises, also through these exercises, we unify the wind energies with the mind. And that is also a physical internal process that involves the blood flow. So then as the wind flows a certain way, the blood flows, and then that leads to a clarification, a clarifying of the subtle elements within our channels. In the Vajrayana, we say that the channels are the dakinis, and the subtle elements within them, which is actually the mind, are the dakas. And they are unified, and they are the unified essence of bliss and emptiness, or called the primordial awareness of bliss and emptiness. And when they become unified, we experience physical and mental well-being. So currently, ordinarily, we are tied up in a mind of self-grasping. And so it also affects then our physical and mental well-being. Also regarding the channels, we have many subtle channels in our body, and it is said in the teachings that up until the age of around 16, the channels, these subtle channels, are actually expanding. And then after the age of 16, as we grow older, then gradually these subtle channels, they dry out, just like the leaves of a tree. And that is because the continuous movement of the winds through the channels and the blood through the channels, that these channels become exhausted eventually, so they degenerate. So this is how it is taught according to the Vajrayana teachings of the channels and winds. Also, now it is said that on the outer level is the body, and that is related to the practice of yoga. So if we apply these outer, inner, and secret aspects of body, speech, and mind to the holy Dharma, it also can be related to the three kayas. The outer aspect is the nirmana kaya, the inner aspect, the sambhoga kaya, and the secret aspect, the Dharmakaya. And so also in the Dharma it is said the outer aspect is the vehicle of individual liberation or pratimoksha. Then the inner is the bodhisattvayana, and then the secret is the vajrayana. And so we use this term secret also in one of our questions here. What is the secret? The secret refers to the mind, or the nature of the mind, and our inability to realize the nature of the mind. That is why it is called secret, or in a sense, naturally hidden by our inability of seeing our true nature. Lord Jigten Sumgön also said that the Buddha Vajradhara is naturally hidden within our mind, as we do not know the nature of the mind. So who is this Buddha Vajradhara? He is no one else but really the essence of your own mind, the inherent quality within your own mind. Or we say that the Dharmakaya is Vajradhara, but we have not realized that. So it is like Vajradhara is self-hidden, he's naturally hidden. So this is also one of the questions, why is the secret chakra called secret? What is the secret? And so this is just how I interpret this personally, this hidden nature of Vajrasattva. In my take of it is that Vajradhara is no one else than your own mind. There's no other Vajradhara than your own mind. And hidden or secret because we have not realized the nature of our own mind. So this is my understanding of this quote by Thigten Sumgön, but you can also ask for more clarification from Garchen Rinpoche.
custom 되는 코디 니가 냠들면 코디요 가까이요 말이 옛날에 내가지 산지 종디들이 산지 종디들이 시랍도 바라도 선바 레디 시랍도 바라도 선바지 가을에들은 나그 생물 내롱다 저따와지도 하고 손에 오 이제 그 시종 친구이라 저따원 친구이 시지 거기에 추탐지 나기 님이와 저 니부이 시들 데려 돈이 좀 데려 당면 그런 담을지 나와 이런 자유와 데려 저따 저부이 시 친구이 시종 이시니요래지 옛날에 니가 가랑 생물 내롱을 팔듯이 또좀 이 강나성 유시랍는 무슨 년도로고요 시합 여분들 책제요래 데랑 보는 이제 고아도 자동 들이 키보는 것도 좋아해 나 된다고 노래 해서 한 것이 성을 가래 소소랑 저기 시도에 봐서도 책대를 하던 땡사고도 소소랑을 소소들 랑그 세고 내lok들 랑그 하고서는 들이 참아이 시에 주요를 했지 책 리바데 말아본 거 그는 소소 오 남시 많통 예신 통스 然后去地嘛通去你都南西嘛通也是通的南西的我现在大一你们都南西的在说这种南西的我当然南西干不干的大一你都大一你有的哦大一你有的这人不管都大忙不忙的忙成早的大一你都了大一你那是세군 내로 또 생방 내로 군에들大一你们都是不怕你呢 첩만이는 남법만 남도 뭐지 이 당을 이치치바도 오 새로 나지니면서 샘 나갔다고 잘 나지니면 내려 대도들이 사지만통 샘지만통 사지 통서 남시만통 시통을 할때 제가 숨말 내려 뛰는 산지 쪽디디 네 얘네들 그런 거 영천보다 소소랑의 시주를 봐서 이 소소랑의 시주를 담치리 이시주요도 가면 라니 속되면 저다 나와 탐지랑 그래서 재미되는 것도 다다 알아서 뒤하고서 들이 오 샘은 이면은 콘디 니가 될 내동이 다른 말은 통야 요래 통주시 요래 때 가리스는 접속 때 가리스를 접속 다들 운전 로벌 좀 해도 나지 니디 ጭ불을 들이다 많고 하도 접속 나지 니디는 코아도 접속 이 전송된 코아드 가리리 센테라 셈제치를 니몽아 샤소 니몽아 센종아 나니몽아 이 상초선 있으면 이시되는 데는 이시가지 니몽아지 신가라지 배나 차롬 뜨봉아나 어르신 차롬 뜨봉아지 참아 차롬이 뜨봉아리 도동가는 볼따를 내주는这这你是不是这样有的？这当空的有的，到底谁长个就过来这样呢？到底我能起码的呢？这找大你用的，你这了的，这咋的好啊？这找了，这了的这个是把它讲的，这个空子的到把家嘛的，讲的，主要是就是他们这个空子的，没哪里把出去这个人的，俺们上次不这个人去，这该是空身上的女嘛，都这么多。 누모 독성을 안 속대 세상을 안 속 세상을 아주 배서는 야와 세상을 아주 배서는 이다 또 먹을 아주 배서는 또 내값들은 차로 됐다 되는 다서 오 내로 많통은 다 내값 쳐진 차로 자송 될 뚫거든요 딱 버릴 말이 저도 그러지 제가 누가를 또 참아 뚫고 거기서 좋지 닦고 저리를 뚫을 때리 나 이실간이라니 다고신 감탄들 로트도 그지 감요래 데르세 나와나 소원들 나중이지 요 말이 데르 다고 줄이지 마다바 들진 좋아하고 줄이지 주변에서 좀 맞다버리 주민나기 문이지 된지 장이 요 말이지 자총나 줄이지 로고 자총다 대도 하고 나도 저렇게 대하고는 다 대하고 송다자지 저는 저 것은 나는데 탐지 것은 거 거는 마대 해서 테레티니타 저기서 쭉 시선 받는 내력들인데 나진 거랑 기대 거와래. 다도 뭐 보도서 다지 우리 상태를 시켰대. 땅 코가 성대래. 있으면 이시 있으면 다지 님도 매생하고 아니 샘 이제 말해. 먼저 나도가 카드는데 다지니 차. 이 나도도 내 말만 지 야잖아. 이 바로 그러더니 뭔데 색도 그러면 라마 교신이 답지. 돈이 또 남들 같은 자다. 말은 포함되지 않은 데서 말할 때. 네 돈남들 대방마 탐내 신보를 포함한데 돈남들 가래. 쇼어들랑 샘 죽어봐. 이메와. 하고 뒤도 어떻게더니 저 타고는 이제 자대. 서른 처럼 쉬었다고 그래. 상속선 남만일 때네. 다 돈남이 되면 또 다지 니디지 오니. 내가 대사는 치고 비슷하고요. 내 말을 송대 당절에 돈을 대서 소소랑 이시주여 봐 되네. 그래서 호대니 이어지 렉다 말에 제발데. 그 가장 대시고 공상만 하는 거래. 제일 뛰는 들이 다다다. 거섬 때더니 거섬 공연 호대이가 그런 거래. 제일
So, and we have said everything has the nature of the three kayas. And when you realize it, you realize that samsara and nirvana are actually not separate. And so even though they are not separate, temporarily things do appear separately. So this is what the Buddha had realized. And we call that the perfection of wisdom. So what is this perfection of wisdom? It is the knowledge of the natural state of the mind as it actually is. It is said that the Buddha possesses two kinds of knowledge or wisdom. That is, to know things as they are and to know all the things that exist. So to know things as they are, their true nature, is to know that samsara and nirvana are inseparable, and that in reality, self and other are inseparable. They do not exist separately. And then knowing all the things that exist is that, so that is the realization that karma, cause and effect, is the natural radiance of emptiness. So even though things are empty, they appear in various different ways due to karma. So this is the twofold knowledge that the Buddha possesses. So when you perfect the nature of your mind, that is, when you realize the true nature of the mind, you have attained the perfection of wisdom. That is explained in one of the sutras that we always recite, the Heart Sutra. And in the very beginning, in the homage version of the Heart Sutra, in the homage verse, it says, and one line that I found very profound and significant, and asked Garchen Rinpoche about that too. And he said that the way I see it is how it is. And so that line says, it's an homage, and it says that I pay homage to the Prajna Paramita, the perfection of wisdom, which is, so the perfection of wisdom, which is the sphere or the domain of self-knowing primordial awareness. So this term, the domain of self-knowing primordial awareness, that is a very profound term. And this self-knowing primordial awareness is to realize the nature of your mind. When you realize the nature of your mind, then your environment, everything becomes a domain or a sphere of primordial wisdom. And then there's another quote I came across in the 100,000 Songs of Milarepa. And Milarepa said, there's 3 lines he said. So the first one was, I do not see a phenomena, but I see the true nature of phenomena. And then the second line is, I do not see consciousness or ordinary consciousness. I see primordial wisdom. So the second line here means that because he sees things as they are, he sees the nature of consciousness as it is. And that is within mind, within that consciousness, there is no division between self and other. So normally when we look at our consciousness, then we do see a duality of self and other. We think that there is ourselves and others and there's all these beings in the 6 realms of samsara. But that is called the dualistic consciousness. When you actually realize the nature of the mind, you will see that there is actually no duality. For example, this realization is like having first, you have 2 vases that are both empty. So outside there are 2, but inside they are empty. And when they break, both emptinesses then become actually one. So that is what you realize. We have different bodies, but our minds are really empty. And so then with that realization, the mind becomes vast like space. And then, so the third line that Milarepa said was, I do not see sentient beings, I only see Buddhas. And so that is really connected to that line in the Prajnaparamita and the Heart Sutra, where it says that the great mother or the perfection of wisdom is the sphere, the domain of self-knowing primordial wisdom. And also in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, appearances are one's own mind. From the beginning, mind's nature is free from the extremes of elaboration. And so if you understand these lines, then you will gain an understanding that the mind is non-dual. If the mind is non-dual, then also all of samsara and nirvana are non-dual. But then if they are all one, then why is it that we experience happiness and suffering in different ways? We can see all kinds of sentient beings. So why is that? So the Buddha also said it is because beings are obscured by adventitious stains. And that is the stain of clinging to the existence of self and other. And that alone has caused the creation of samsara. So what is samsara then really? There is a single basis of mind, and from this single basis, then the 5 afflictive emotions have arisen. So we have mentioned before, on the outer level, there are the 5 elements, and on the inner level, we have the 5 afflictive emotions. And when they are met with the twofold bodhicitta and with primordial wisdom, then the 5 afflictive emotions are recognized as the nature of the 5 wisdoms. So it is just like you have 5 ice blocks. They are all ice. So you have 5 separate blocks. So you can count them from 1 to 5. But actually all it is they're just ice, and when they encounter heat, they will melt and they are all water. So that is the nature of all samsaric sentient beings. And they all have the same nature, but they create various experiences due to their different fixations, to the fixating at the reality, the true existence of their perceptions, and the outer level on the inner level. So that fixation is what has created samsara. And so that is also related to the nirmanakaya. So often people think that the nirmanakaya, it must be something that's only pure. But actually, all beings in the 6 realms of samsara are nirmanakayas. Milarepa was once asked by a disciple, now, who are you a nirmanakaya of? So a nirmanakaya is also a durku. And Milarepa said, I'm a durku of the 3 lower realms. And why? Because of the 3 poisons, the afflictive emotions. The natural manifestation or nirmanakaya of hatred are the hell realms. The natural manifestation of avarice are the hungry spirits. And the natural manifestation of ignorance are the animals. So they are temporarily like blocks of ice because those beings do not see the nature of their mind. But this is temporary, and they will not always be in that state. And that is actually what is meant with the term Nirmanakaya. They will change. They won't always be an ice block. So all the 6 realms, the sentient beings in the 6 realms, are Nirmanakayas. So we speak about pure and impure, illusory Nirmanakaya forms. The pure, illusory form of a Nirmanakaya is the expression of the 5 kinds of wisdom, expressed as the Sambhogakaya Pure Lands. And in their minds, there is no dualistic perception in terms of self and other. And then there are the impure, illusory forms of the Nirmanakaya, and these are the 6 realms of samsara. They are illusory forms because they appear just like we watch a film on TV. We see it, but we can't really grasp it. It's not really there. It appears just like a temporary rainbow in the sky. So, according to the Dharma, we say that all phenomena have the nature of the 3 kayas. So there is nothing whatsoever that does not have the nature of the 3 kayas. And Jigten Somgön had said, what is being taught in the Dharma is merely the fundamental nature of phenomena. So now our perception of reality is that there is a self and there are others, and we think that this is real. We cling on to this idea. It is real. And that perception of that we are real, that is the very seed of samsara. So one who has realized the nature of their mind, who has understood non-duality, they know that there are no self and others in reality. We all have the same basis of mind. And we appear separately because different thought formations have appeared. So then that leads to various appearances. So one who has realized the nature of the mind will not cling to these thought formations, but will just let them be without believing in their true existence. And so this is what the various spiritual masters, the teachers, are passing on to us, this yoga or view of emptiness. Also, Milarepa actually said, in the context of a POA teaching, it's not the transference of consciousness, he said that one can only practice POA on behalf of someone else if one has already attained the path of seeing. And so what is the path of seeing? The path of seeing is having seen the nature of the mind. So a person has realized that the mind of the deceased and my own mind are inseparable. And that is how they can benefit them through practicing POA. Through the twofold bodhicitta, they are able to melt the ice block in the mind of the deceased on the basis of knowing that our minds are actually not separate. So that is how they can be benefited. But if we still perceive a duality of self and other, and we practice POA for someone, that we can maybe bring some temporary benefit, but we cannot really benefit in a really extensive way. So therefore it is called the sphere, the domain of primordial, self-knowing primordial wisdom. So that is the domain of someone who has realized that there is no separation between samsara and nirvana. We mentioned yesterday this quote in the Samantabhadra prayer. It is just a difference of having realized it or not having realized it. And the 3 kayas everything has the nature of the 3 kayas. Samsara and nirvana all is pervaded by the 3 kayas.
Simply, which are lower to my daging, needing the mazeg part the demba nigan on the Kodok de Batachibori. Kodok de Bacare Tachibori, so easy, make it deva go your dogi go your maritana. Deva that the way gelatin, gelatin battery, take the Navagi, tarting the one, simply Tanti, deva dance. Tata Mate, they are to the Tama Toby to Mother Purple, the sugar, something they are doing. They are to the human. They are to judge yours, Germany, they are your marriage. Joe Carreri, Joe something, Ramjet. Something around the tower, no certainly, they are talking yours. Penda Tata, the British ambulance of Inson to the sooner. Oh, the mock the door here, the most at the mock shades the road, the road tell and go give out the Maginam and roll your the road cashier pay dongy your the road cashier to pay they are your the underground Chakashi made of the such a cashier mirati de your double down your cashier young dongy your minute they do the Chipa marriage. The Chipa in Bar, which one cheaper at that jog cheaper. The way it is that they are the one on that. They are doing jockey to bodies. Method in one method the sound to kitchen body, just by the summaries. Talk to them. Don't you think about that? McGill just McGill the palms and McGill just do that give a just. This somehow. They don't tell us anything. Jim Fusion drivers, Naminjan drivers, even 7 drivers. That is a driver, shit, the radiation. Don't let the other day with just that. True, there are some teachers. Oh, that ring a collation was a tongue and open. The other jurors. That upper caliber tactical. Oh, that is Jimbaris. Method, that's a nice. There are things that Sajitonia Toma, the Jabatam did also. There is a Tamake. True, Pachel Machi, talk to your money. You should tell what I you should tell. I tell you, should tell Gasson. So Jimanis, Jiman, Jimaton, Saturn, Zokan, the Tombaniris, Tapalomaris, Zokan, Namkaran Zingoris. Namkaran Zokan, the Batongoris. Take the Patriot road, Chiluk, Tam Chilati, Yunti, very military, Mediterranean. Chiluk didn't go, Chishibat, said that the Jugo. Oh, that is a natural. There is impure loss and energy. Don't best it. You go, Chiluk dinner, not Chiluk Mago. Chiluk Mago, Pertushi, Ramatica, Mercedes, Tamata Sejo. Tamacuba, the monk of some Macuba comes from Poland, the rock in the just this goes on. Macuba, the same look the Gordashi, Macuba goes on money. Who send a new by the Jugo already? Jugo, you are the Chulok, the Lona Seminary Judge. Domingo just a chick, you the tongue star. You didn't. Oh, the way just in the teach, she looked it, Tabby, she looked. The way it that they ought to do it just on the market. Oh, they are to really jail and Koso, Kazi about the German talk money. Not a Kazi, made a bottom of Karatina, Kosi Kazi talk your money. German. They started in Jartin over it. Jabin Togomari. May not eat on Dublin Milla, Dublin Tata, Jacabinanda, Mimananda, Tuamari, Jacab Tuamari, Mamang Tuamari. Oh, they could Mimati, I didn't carry the honor, sort of domain and Damade, Tuamari. You know, she shoot it in it. But give a come shake and just the shaking. Give a come shake and they were. That's the dog let out there. That they would just go to. That's correct. That's something. But the blame, something she was. That ye keep out the mat. Dog was on the GP seminar. Take it away. There is a new sort of demand. Don't know with them a mountain of bad. Ye lost kitchen boys. GP lost leaky. Don't know them a mountain with your carry. That ye did it. That is the Tata. You won't talk that or that is there. You won't talk somebody. Yeah, there ain't any that they take it. The me told the me just all over it. Oh, ranji ranji party dog. Oh, Jimba, Churchan, Zoba, Sondu, Santi, Shirap. Shirap the Tatok, the same with the body, new motto, really task on the detail. Tatok sent so much about the Shirap. Said they looked up at Shirap song. The Tablata that could something in Bolanis of Duma. I'm telling you, the gentlemen and Lanis of Duma Shina didn't let me already. The women did that they do in Jones, those are the GP, said the so. You look down a minute, GP, Lord, Missy, Tata and tell it they were yours. To do such a sort of the church of the door, Carry didn't know because that's a new team, tell me. Oh, they talk a jury, same because the dung you never done my. Take just about to jury, the bar as a test of the Thomas and Monsieur say go, go to say, take joy. You call it jury. Could you call us say go? Could you say the jutty, jutty, could you send the thing you more? Send the thing you more, young, just yet I'm not travel leg. That's the thing. They were thank to what tea rounds up. Jim J. Kitchen social rounds of it. He dug around Dr. George, the Baraza, Terrasoba, so something no was done. Oh, that tells you something started to get him some color tree. Get on a go or this you call Chiameba, something around the young did it was also there to body, because you do it over this. That Jera dello, the Jetta, that's something so put up them. Something Daji Niuna, Daji told something the zone, so they were just a Denver church, so to Tata really told Matin the dear the Jetta Carry, that's something related. Oh, yeah, something related that part of some organ. Certain Zoba. Jimba, some something, oh, something in Malaysia, Malaysia was talk about it. Nini leeches from Malaysia in a top song, basically, or some ground on the Malay, Jibagram, the Ronju, Zobagram, the Draw Zambo, Tseringbo, Dom Zipa. There's an tourist away on the Jiba, such as you was just as a Sunday thing, they really take answer in it. This all the judges all the Sunny metal sound, just a card of Tony, metal sound, metal Kadoka, human, silence on Chatham, that man was a metal. Give on it, your ceramic, the game at what? So I made by the Blade, could have the Blade of my body. Control the Daji Ni, Mazega part, just always. Did just take us to what it is? Daddy Tan made a chant. Three times baby. Take a little day, but she's that don't done with them. Don't done the money. Don't done son, Denny, the Sandy son, Denny, Mason, just this one. Or don't done with them out of that. You go, don't done with them, but take one Sandy you call. Needing some, take less of the Yamera. Tell us how many. Take the Tata so called Kanchi, that's something such a age. Oh. Come you do it, they are the day you must something good, must something I said no. Oh, must something simply something that you are who they would do something. This is what I would have worry. Don't cut tissue that I must say there go at something. Something.
It is said that the purpose of the 84,000 different Dharma teachings is that they all are an antidote to the afflictive emotions. And so we want to get rid of the afflictive emotions. So why do we want to get rid of them? It is because they cause all of our suffering. Until we have realized that self and others do not exist, for us the conventional or the relative truth is most important. And why is that? It is because we all want to be happy. That's the most important thing for us. We want to be happy and we do not want to suffer. And so if that is what we want, we need to understand that happiness and suffering arise from causes. So we need to understand these causes, and that is what the relative or conventional truth teaches. So to really summarize the Buddhist view in just one line of prayer, it will say that may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So if you experience some slight happiness in this world, in your life, for example, you are getting along with your friends, or you share a loving relationship with your child and so on, even if you experience just a slight happiness, you have to understand that it doesn't come for no reason. It has a cause. There can be no moment of happiness without a cause. So then what is the cause? The cause is love. So even the slightest moment of love leads to the slightest experience of happiness. Lord Jigten Sumgön had said, karma, cause and effect is the natural manifestation of one's moment-to-moment thoughts. So whatever thought is predominant will be one's experience. So if the momentary thought is the thought in one's mind is a thought of ignorance, then the experience will be that of an animal. But even if one is born as an animal, animals also have different levels of virtue and non-virtue. There are some animals who experience more suffering than others. For example, there's pet animals, like Americans really like the cats and dogs, and often the cats and dogs at home, they have it even better than many human beings, and because people not take care of them so well. So there is a difference. Some animals suffer more than others, some experience more happiness than others. And the difference is because these beings have all created different causes. So if you want to experience happiness, to create the cause is very important. It is just like if you want to grow a flower, you need to plant the right seed. And the seed is something that is also secret from us because we can't see the quality of the flower within the seed. We can't see the outcome in the seed, in the cause. So the Dharma therefore teaches, abandon the right causes and create the right causes. So abandon with body, speech, and mind the 10 non-virtuous actions and practice the 10 virtuous actions. So you're all familiar with those. And then also the scholars speak about different ways in which karma ripens. There are 4 different ways. There is the maturation, or like the result of full maturation. There is the result corresponding to the cause. There is the proliferating result. And then there is the governing or dominating result. But in brief, even though there are many different divisions, it's also very simple. If you want to be happy, you need to create the cause for happiness. If you experience a slight happiness, for example, you're getting some nice food to eat today, that pleasant experience has a cause as well. And what is the cause of that? It is having practiced generosity. And then what is its opposite? It is to be stingy. So when we are not able to be generous and give away or to have avarice. So because of its importance, the Buddha first and foremost taught the teachings on karma, cause and effect. And that is really the essence of the essential Dharma teachings. And so actually many other religions also agree on that. They just explain that in different ways. For example, Christianity also speaks about generosity. I came across one quote that said, you should not put your faith in the worldly treasure houses. They're empty. So they're impermanent, in other words. But you should invest in the treasury house of the heavens. So the way I interpret that is you should practice generosity. So it uses different terms, but it really has one and the same meaning. Actually, there is no religion that doesn't have good qualities like that. And the purpose of any religion is to transform our mind. So if our mind currently is in a state of selfishness and stinginess, then we need to transform this mind through altruism and generosity. There are some who might say, I have no need for any religion. But then when they get angry, for example, then they are losing out, because then maybe in the end they kill someone and get killed. So they have not transformed their mind. So Jigten Sumgön also says that the purpose of the holy Dharma is to transform the minds of the sentient beings in the 3 realms of samsara by eliminating the 3 poisons, the afflictive emotions, from their mind. So one who has realized the nature of the mind, they have no more need to transform any further. This is the transformation. You want to realize the nature of your mind. So first, to transform the mind, we first need to understand the causes of happiness and the causes of suffering. If you understand that these causes are within your mind, you will eliminate the causes that lead to suffering. And in this way, through Dharma practice, the mind becomes transformed. But even if one, for example, is born as an animal, animals also experience some happiness. For example, we feed them, and that is some pleasure for them. But they would not receive this food if they would not have created a cause beforehand. So they have created that cause. For example, if you're feeding bees, there are some bees who get the food and some who don't get the food. That is because some have created the karma, the cause for receiving the food, and some have not. And then the same is true for human beings. When we look in the world, in the various countries, even though countries may seem the same, the experience of people in a country is not the same. And even the experience of one person in a single day, it differs. We might be very happy the early part of the day, and then we are very sad in the evening of the same day. So those who, for the most part, those who have created or are engaging in more negative actions do experience a higher degree of suffering. And those who create virtuous actions will experience a higher level of happiness. So we need to create the cause of happiness. So what is that? It is the mind of love. So it is important to understand the relative truth of karma, cause and effect. For as long as we see a duality of self and other, we have to put others before ourselves and cherish them. As it is said, the perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. Until we have realized the ultimate truth, altruism is paramount. It's most important. And because why is it that we do not see the ultimate truth? It is because we perceive a duality of self and other. There is this self. And from the self arise the 6 afflictive emotions. And then with these emotions, we create more suffering upon suffering. And so the nature of love, on the other hand, is it creates virtue, it creates happiness. When there is love, we will naturally practice the 6 paramitas. The paramitas of generosity, ethical discipline, patience, diligence, meditation, and wisdom. And wisdom is the ultimate perfection, the ultimate paramita. That is, the perfection of wisdom is when you realize the nature of the mind. And then all afflictive emotions will diminish. And all of that actually is explained in the 37 Bodhisattva practices. I myself do not have much learning, but the 37 practices really is the only thing I really know. And knowing the 37 practices, you gain an understanding of karma. So all suffering without exception comes from wishing for one's own happiness. The perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. Even if someone is not a religious practitioner, if that person possesses an altruistic mind, then right now they will experience happiness too. Or as we said, animals who have created a cause that comes from love, will experience more happiness. For example, there's some animals like birds that can coexist without having to harm each other, because in their mind there is no wish to cause any harm. Whereas on the other hand, there are some animals, like some poisonous animals like poisonous snakes or scorpions and so on. At the moment we see them, we feel that we need to kill them. But actually they themselves have already created the cause for that in the past. So in a sense, karmically, they are really killing themselves. But those animals also possess Buddha nature. And even though they possess Buddha nature, they have developed emotions of hatred and jealousy. And that is why they temporarily appear in such a form. So karma, cause and effect, is the natural manifestation of one's moment-to-moment thought. So the natural manifestation of hatred or anger, for example, is the poisonous snake or the scorpion or any other animal that causes harm to others. Whereas in the animal realm, a natural manifestation of love would be like a beautiful bird with a beautiful voice that we like to feed, and we are happy when we hear them not chirp. And why is that? They have this quality and because they possess love as the cause. So there is a difference even within the animal realm. So therefore, hold on to the cause of happiness, that is a mind of love. This is the essence really of the teachings on the relative truth. So summarize, as long as we have a perception of self and other, we need to consider love as most important. That is the cause of happiness. And then with love, on the basis of love, we engage in virtuous actions, such as the 6 paramitas. And the first 3 of them, generosity, ethical discipline, and patience, lead to the qualities in the higher realms. For example, if you practice ethical discipline, you create a cause for being born as a precious human being. It is said that if you just practice a single nyingne or nyungne practice, you create the cause for being born as a precious human being. If you practice generosity, then you create the cause for possessions or wealth. If you practice patience, you create the cause for encountering harmonious companions, having a beautiful appearance, and having a long life. And so then you continue to engage in practice to create more virtue in this way. So again, we have said that the nature of the cause is that we cannot see the result in the cause. It's just like we cannot see the color of the flower inside of the seed. But if we plant the seed into fertile soil and we give it water, it will ripen into a flower in the future. So in the same way, karma will ripen over lifetimes in the future. But once created, karma will not be lost. And that is the meaning of the infallibility of karma, cause and effect, which is the essence of the relative truth. So the relative truth, the teachings on the relative truth teach that as long as you perceive a duality of self and other, love and compassion are most important. And ultimately, through love, self-grasping will diminish and you will see the ultimate truth of non-duality. And regarding that state of the ultimate truth, Jigten Sumgön again said that on the level of Buddhahood, there are no 2 truths. So then all dissolves when you see the ultimate. And seeing the ultimate meaning you become a Buddha and all duality is cleared away. And on this level, there is no duality between someone who creates karma and the karma being created. So again, right now, what is most precious for us, it is love. If you want to experience happiness, you have to create the cause for happiness, and that is to cultivate love. So practice some introspection No, thinking, I must cultivate love. So how much love do I have? What can I do? And what you can do is to think, may everyone be happy, may all beings experience happiness. And then to not lose this love, you must practice patience. So for us, in our lifetimes, these practices are really most important. And the questions that we received, to summarize it, is that basically, why is it that I still have not seen the nature of the mind? So why have we not seen the nature of the mind or realized the Dharma in our daily life? It is because of very profound, very thick layers of habitual tendencies or karmic imprints. And so why do these tendencies arise constantly? It is because of self-grasping. So the Buddha gave good methods to overcome it, or also Milarepa, for example. Milarepa said, when you eat and drink, take it as a practice of offering a Gana Chakra, a feast offering. When you walk or go around, see it as a practice of circumambulation. When you go to sleep, make it be a practice of luminosity. Or for example, when you're eating food, don't just think, I'm eating the food now, but remember that there are millions of microorganisms pervading your body. And when you're eating food, you're also feeding them. So you're being generous to them. So when you're eating food, recollect the suffering of sentient beings who experience hunger and thirst, and then feed those little microorganisms pervading your body, and think that this is my offering to them. If you think that I'm eating the food, then there's this constant thought of me arising in your mind. And it arises in our minds all the time, day and night, like snowflakes falling down. All we constantly think about without even really noticing is that we think, I want to sleep, I'm tired, I'm sick, I'm this, I'm that. It's this constant thought of I, constantly arising, like snow falling down and accumulating. And we have no awareness of this for the most part. So recognize this and turn it around and think about others. Think about other sentient beings. So this is the way to come back to this question. This is the way to purify these habitual tendencies. When you think about others, then you are actually purifying these habitual tendencies. And whenever you think of me this, me that, then you're again reinforcing these habitual tendencies. So recognize them instantly when they arise. And don't think that I'm eating and so forth, but think that I'm making an offering to those beings in my body. And so in this way, we habituate to making offerings to higher beings and being generous to sentient beings. And in order to be able to do that, we also have to bring to mind their suffering. In the Bodhicharya Vatara prayer, it says in a dedication section, it says, may the blind regain their sight and may the deaf begin to hear. So when you read these lines and bring to mind the happiness that would arise if a blind person could suddenly see again, or if a deaf person could suddenly hear again. So rejoice in that and cultivate an altruistic mind, wishing these beings to be free from their suffering. So in brief, the altruistic mind has to pervade all beings so that the ice block in your mind can really melt. And then a feeling will arise. And as the ice block in your mind is melting, as this feeling of joy arises in your mind. On the other hand, when you are tied up in self-grasping, you feel restricted and you do not feel well. So this would be my answer to this question.
또 내리 가나 유몽이 실 저티비 강사 제게 따로 맞들 때니 오다 냠용을 때니 배나 생들은 또 생들 매일 되죠. 오다 생들 매일 또 다시 또 다시 라야들이 다시 다시 생일로 자르자는 책도 봐봐. 다시 땅 생일 매일 또 매일 땅이 매일 돼. 뒤따고 또 막또 봐도 잡다겠던 것들이 죽는 저 그거래. 유무밭에 독침물이 대회는 제도들이 가리 동적 와서 정말 유목은 이시죠 이시도 당하고 있어요 이시도 다다는 게 납시대 타마시바 지바도 세고 내록대 나중에 매봐 대티 보선이나 파는지 내가 내가 남도 니들이 남도한테 역도 요래 별로 처럼 철치 왔는데 이 청한 영영대 따뜻한 유목 뜻이야. 뭐 시당 따오는 거지. 막 시당 시당랑 시당은 어디 시당이 왔다. 밤을 맞다. 시당 댄스 미술라. 다니 뭐고. 다니 명 톱송. 다니 뭐 있어. 내 너희들이 도착다 다 또 먹고 살지 저라지. 또 먹고 살 봐봐지. 동대리 내가 없으면 되고. 얘가 대자롱 저 전부 요래. 타톡하지. 라면들이 말랑거니 옷살이 센서거든 동도봐. 대만 말년속거 살았어. 대 다당에 대하고 요러네. 용 맞게 거리 별이 시당 체도로 하고 요래. 가주는 시당을 라당만 시당을 시당하는 거 때. 시당 짜리면 시당 싹동지. 하정 센서 시당이 앞에 비성. 반년 농탑자래. 어떤 몽이 시래서 이내래. 얘는 얘들이 유몽 두고들을 가지고 있는데 탑재가들이 계속 그러지 우리 라는 데는 또 그러지 대부터들이 답답시에서 싸움하지 되게 싸움하래 했지 좋아하는 애들이
So one of the questions also says, why is the secret chakra called secret? So why is something called secret? So we have said the pratimoksha, so on the outer level, there's the pratimoksha of individual liberation. Then in the inner level is the bodhisattva yana, and on a secret level, the Vajrayana. And the secret chakra is related to the secret mantra, or the Vajrayana. So why is it being called secret? So the Vajrayana, or the secret mantra, is not called secret because this Dharma has a fault that needs to be hidden, but it is because it cannot be easily comprehended by those with inferior minds. And so what is difficult to comprehend is the fact that afflictive emotions are actually primordial wisdom. So a person who does understand this, who has realized that afflictions are primordial wisdom, or they have transformed the afflictions into primordial wisdom, they can say that. And that is like saying wood is fire. But if you put a piece of wood into somebody's hand and then tell them that's fire, even if they hold it for 100 years, it won't burn their hands at all. For them, it's not fire. So you need to gain the experience of actually causing the wood to meet with fire, and then it will turn into fire, and then it is real fire. But that is not a reality to someone who has not realized that. And so that is why we gradually realize. And that is why it is being called secret. So the reason why we cannot comprehend it is because basically our afflictive emotions are too strong. So ultimately, it all comes down to a single essence, and that is to recognize that the afflictive emotions are primordial wisdom. The consciousness, the ordinary, bare consciousness, is the true nature of your mind when you see its nature. When you see that there is no duality of self and other within this consciousness. And when that becomes stable, this realization, then the mind continuously abides like space. When the mind abides like space, then even if thoughts arise, they will dissolve in the space of the mind, or they will melt just like ice blocks melting. So you need to train the mind and gain the experience. That's the key. So for example, you trigger some anger. So anger arises in you, an afflictive emotion. You get angry. Then when you get angry, don't look at the object of your anger, like the person who makes you angry at all. But look at the nature of the anger itself. And you will gain a very profound experience. So when you look at the anger as it really is, then there is nothing actually there. And that is the experience to gain. The anger is transformed. All there is just clarity. So anger really is seen as a clear empty nature. So when that becomes your experience, you have transformed the afflictive emotion into primordial wisdom. Or when it's practiced with ignorance, ignorance is transformed into luminosity. There are certain times when we come to the nature of the mind, and that's explained in the teachings of the channels and winds. But for example, when one of those times is when we fall into a deep sleep state, and instead of losing our consciousness, we sustain awareness and recognize the luminosity of the mind during the deep sleep state. And so that is very difficult to recognize. So what we should do for now is to recognize our afflictive emotions. So for example, when anger arises, recognize it the very moment it arises. And do not look at the one who made you angry, but look at the essence of the anger itself. And then gain the experience of seeing what it actually is, and in this way, having it go away completely. And then when that becomes your experience, you will find that actually the anger has greatly benefited me. So it is through the anger and seeing its nature that I have found clarity and emptiness, the clear empty nature of my mind. And then you can actually say the afflictive emotions are primordial wisdom. And you practice the same with all the other 6 afflictive emotions. Whenever they arise, you deal with them in the same way, with the same method. So in this way, you recognize the essence of the afflictive emotion. So because it's something that is difficult to realize, that is why we always speak about it being secret.
이만들이 돈다고 대봐도 내록 똑바데 띵포시가 탑자다리 니가 담아주리 내록 똑바데 띵포 차고 당보 내록데 또리 또는 내록도 라마지래 무 직지성 무슨 똑바지 탑 무코는 예소 탐체든지 똑바지 버데 무소리 무 그루시와지 랑들이 호도 위로 돌들 무바요 봐 돌을 동시 무바요 봐 무바요나 들이 답이 줄 사족스러운 그 봐요 그래 사족스러운 그 봐요 라마로 상제제도 시지 다 등산 세 속았다는 미리시 라마 미리시 도마시니 되라고 보배야 되라고 그래 말이지 라마지 꼭 견디니 미리시 송탐치 내려고 시어 그래시 송탐치 말이지 대반이래 또 나오네 말 톡 상지 라마 톡도 상지래지 라마 톡 상지는 상지 말이 라마 상지 가리래지 라마 상지는 상지 대식 용보도 장이 말 상지게 톡 대식 용보도 라마 톡 대식 용보도 라그센 대식 용보니 찍고 찍자래들이 매일맘이 또 마도 제발면 세일라마티 톡 대식 용보도 되구나 나한테 또 못할 다른 세는 라마티 용띠 보통 용띠를 들지 랑지 로버 박사 산로 요래 대바다 당난 거지 대바 당난 이치 대바 섬제 대바 섬제 오늘 랍 대면 라마 용띠지 잡으리 소탈 라마 탐치게 용띠지 라마 개수 용띠 안다 되네 대타만 거 소소다 라마 요리 라마 용띠지나 들이 딱고 라마티 지이잖아 제시 라마 예매 바지 라마티 세 라마 조끼니 와리 바티네 나한테지 라마 센티지 랑센이 예리 찍봐요 내가 로버를 가가 차면 로버를 들어가네 난 세운이 이제 찍으리스 되는 잠자 동네 로버를 들어가더니 대파라 세신지는 인제당 라마한테 당하지 봐 이치지 말더니 라마 공들이 삼선 센데 랑 나오냐고 봐지 라마 가지고 뒤시 봐 가지고 라마 뒤도 봐대 뒤는 바도니 라마 뒤에 지디 쇼들 사실 라마 뒤에 용에서 라마가 바도로 강시거리 저래 그래 마시고 말이 라나 샘 대식 뭐 이래 요래지 샘 대식 뭐 이래 요배 뒤들은 찐 라미시네 라마지 가든스디 담보 왕거들이 주제 드리면하도 가든지 뒤박차 겁실지네 람상 남들 라마 세라면 내가 잘 뒤라면 대식 뭐 되게 감세요 요래 감세만이나 뒤내지 박차 나와지 도와서면 상로를 되지 좀 무거다래 대바 대단하는 때에 생탐지는 대바 다나고야 계시버려 등탕 대가래 탱도 보디들이라마 계시 중지 다 대중까지 다져도 배세 대다는데 대도 그러면 용띠 다고 용띠 다는 배워요 또 다는 내 봐요래 내는 남 용띠 지네 뭐지 형타관이 라마들이 봐 예매봐 라마 센터랑이 예매봐 하고는 대가들이 야지로 요리 우리들이 라마디 쳤다고 왔다고 차대 요리 랑 센터 다지 차고람 따고 차래 따로 라마 지지는 거래 대시 들이다 제대로 말서 영 뒤에만 잡아서 누구 세 제대로만 남 뒤에 시합 영지 뭐 시합도 팔아서 동네에 선대식이 무슨 삼마대식이 뭐지 선대식이 뭐지 계신 좋아요 말이 도지 장지 대회를 세 찌는들이 양양도 찌나 그래 나게 메소드를 성공 카세트 그래 또 먹으지 다 하는 거 띄는 거래지 근데 다시 들에
And then the third question says, what is your heart advice to stabilize the recognition of the true nature of the mind? And so the heart advice. So when you in order to stabilize the recognition of the nature of the mind, so first you have to realize the nature of the mind, to recognize the nature of the mind. And it is said that the best way to do that is to cultivate guru devotion. Chigden Sumgön also says that realization relies only on guru devotion. So devotion, a Tibetan term, is mögu, consisting of these two syllables, mö and gu. And mö means to aspire, and that is you aspire to become liberated from the suffering of samsara. And then gu means to respect. So if you aspire this, then you must respect the mind of bodhicitta. And that is imparted on to you by the guru. And that is why we see the guru as the actual Buddha. So often we think that the guru is just this physical form, this human being, this person. And often Tibetans also think that way. They mainly look at the form, how the guru looks. But that's not just all that the guru is. So the guru's body is the sangha, so that's the human being. But then the guru's speech is the holy dharma. The guru teaches us the nature of things, the twofold truth, the ultimate truth. The guru's mind is the mind of the Buddha. So when we say that, you might wonder, like, how is it that the guru's mind is the mind of the Buddha, and then we also, when we say my mind is the Buddha too. That is because of Buddha nature, and there is no difference in quality within Buddha nature. There is not one that's better and another one that's worse. The Buddha nature of the Buddha and the Buddha nature of the Guru's mind, the Buddha nature of your own mind is all one and the same. There's not the slightest difference. But then the difference is temporarily that the Guru has realized that. The Guru has realized the nature, the Buddha nature. So because the Guru has realized the nature of the mind, we think of the Guru's qualities, then we cultivate devotion to the Guru. And through this devotion, our temporary habitual tendencies will be cleared away. So they are cleared away through cultivating a pure perception and the three kinds of faith: clear faith, longing faith, and the trusting faith. So ideally, you cultivate faith and the pure perception. But at least we should think about the qualities of the Guru over and over again. And not of one Guru, but of all the Gurus, all the spiritual masters in the world. They are all like root Gurus. So if you always have the Guru in mind, then you realize the indivisible union between your own mindfulness and the Guru's mindfulness. But then through the outer aspect of the Guru, the physical form, we can approach the Guru to receive the Guru's teachings. But we need to understand the inner Guru, that the fundamental nature of mind of the Guru and our own is one and the same. And we only temporarily appear separately because we ourselves, we have not realized the nature of the mind, and the Guru has. So then through the Guru's instructions, we meditate and we cultivate compassion for sentient beings. We cultivate a pure perception and faith and devotion in the Guru. And by doing that, by practicing in this way, eventually we will simply forget about ourselves, this existence of me, because you always think of the Guru. And then also it is said that later, after we have died in the bardo, the Guru will look after us if we remember the Guru. And so some people also have some questions about that how will I really know the Guru or recognize or even know how to think of the Guru in the bardo. So you don't have to worry about that because you possess Buddha nature. and you already have a connection to the Guru established in this life. You have relied on the Guru's threefold kindness. The threefold kindness is the kindness of bestowing empowerment, teaching the tantras, and giving you pith instructions. And so through having formed this habit of reliance on the Guru, in the bardo then, the so-called outer Guru and the inner Guru within your mind will naturally connect because you possess Buddha nature. And when they connect on the basis of Buddha nature, then all the confused perceptions, the karmic imprints manifesting in the bardo will be cleared away instantly. So that is why devotion, faith, a pure perception are so important now. But instead of cultivating that nowadays, there is actually a habit of people, when they first meet a spiritual master, the first thing they look at is where are their faults. But actually, we should look at their good qualities. When you think about the qualities of others, that will only benefit you. Whenever you criticize others, you look at their faults, that actually harms you. So think about their good qualities and cultivate love and devotion in your heart, really from the bottom of your heart. So if you understand that the Guru is ultimately inseparable from you, then your practice will really develop. And then the Guru can really benefit you, just like hot water melting an ice block, the ice block of your self-grasping. So think of the Guru, therefore, at all times with devotion. Or supplicate to Tara. There's this Tara prayer where we say, Mother, Goddess of mindfulness, please protect me. So Tara on the outer level is the Tara that we supplicate, but really the inner Tara within your own mind is the great mother, the Prajna Paramita, the perfection of wisdom that we all have as our fundamental nature. So our true nature is that our mind is beyond birth and death and unchanging. And that is what we refer to as the Buddha Vajradhara. So think about this over and over again. And in this way, the seed of a flower is allowed to open up and grow into a flower. So therefore, what's most important here is to cultivate devotion, a pure perception, and faith in your mind. So that is in order to really stabilize the recognition of the true nature of mind. So that's it for today.
Chakra, touching Hamasonity, Rodunchi is on. Tapor, but you may do it to much of it, you can't. Actually, really? Oh, Chirange, Pagin, Ala, Tata, Chang Tevayore, Data Maimba, Pagin, Ala, Sanji, good to see the Jiang, got to reach on Rodunchi is on. Did you got a Lamana see me, Charlie Tardy, got to lean over to Mujet, Yes, I'm the Mananga that the teachable Jerry. How to catch him already? That's the mean.
Actually, there's one more important thing that I want to mention, and that is comes from the 100,000 songs of Milarepa. And that was when Gampopa, his disciple, departed to the Kham region of eastern Tibet. And so when they parted ways, Milarepa told him, go and benefit beings. And then Gampopa asked him, but how do I know when is the exact time that I can benefit beings? And then Milarepa said, right now you have great devotion to me, your old father. But this is not yet the time. The time is when you see the Guru as the actual Buddha. That is the time to benefit sentient beings. Because at the time when you see the Guru as the Buddha, that is when you realize that your mind and the Guru's mind are actually indivisible. So look at this song, the 100,000 songs. When you read it, trust will arise in you. So that's very important. So now really dashidelek.
Hey. Oh, mame be me hori. Oh, mame be me hori. Oh, mame me hori. Oh, mane me ore. 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 Gewa de ye yardana. Jere se wan drubjane. Drowa je yama leba. Je sala buba yo. Poni je jin jin le moni je jin je tin jumari. De lo sam go je wa ngani ji do ga je tin jumari. Oh, but ngani ji che bu do ngai jin je sam go re.
So you should think that all males with compassion are Chenrezig, and all females with compassion are Tara. So if you're male and you have compassion, then think that I have compassion, I'm Chenrezig, or I have compassion, I'm Tara. Tashidele to all those joining on the live stream.